Hello, big boy and big girl. Today is another story on the Bangladesh bank heist. Asian hacker here. In February 2016, a group of hackers tried to pull off the largest bank heist in history. Their target wasn't a vault, it wasn't a truck, it was a single account at the Federal Reserve in New York, holding nearly $1 billion of Bangladesh national reserves. They spent over a year inside the system. They knew exactly when to strike, and they would have walked away with all of it, if not for a single misspelled word. This is the story of how North Korea almost broke the global banking system, and how 5-letter typo saved the world from a $1 billion hole, the Bangladesh bank heist. To understand this story, you need to understand Swift. Swift is a messaging network. Think of it as an email system that banks use to talk to each other. When you spend money internationally, your bank doesn't actually move the dollars. It sends a Swift message to another bank that says, "Trust me, take this amount out of our account and put it in theirs." It's a system built almost entirely on trust, and it moves trillions of dollars every single day. Bangladesh Bank. The central bank of Bangladesh keeps a portion of the national reserve in its account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. About $1 billion sit in that account at any given time. To move money out, Bangladesh Bank sends a Swift message. The feds reads it, verifies the amount, and execute the transfer. Most of the time, this is fine, boring even. But if a hacker could send a Swift message as a Bangladesh bank without anyone noticing, they wouldn't need to break into the vault. They wouldn't need to forge a single document. The money would just move legally by instructions. That's exactly what happened. January 2015, someone at the Bangladesh bank opens an email. It looks like a job application. A resume attached, polite cover letter, normal stuff. Except the attachment isn't a resume, it's a malware, custom built, quiet. The malware doesn't do anything dramatic. It doesn't lock files. It doesn't deem ransom. It just sits there, watching. For over a year, the attackers map out the network. They learn who handles Swift messages. They study the bank daily routines. They figure out timing of every shift change, every system backup, every reconnaissance cycle. They built perfect picture of how money moves through this institution. And then they go after the audit trail. Here's the thing about Swift message. Every message by design is also printed out on a physical receipt printer in the bank secure room. The paper is a backup, a failure. If something goes wrong on the computers, you still got hard copies. So the attacker finds a vulnerability in the printer room. They patch it. They make the printer just not print. The receipts stops coming. But to anyone walking past, the printer still looks fine. It's just quiet. Now they have invincibility. They can send Swift messages without anyone seeing them on paper. The only digital record exists on a system they already control. They wait. They pick their moment. Thursday, February 4th, 2016. This wasn't a random date. The attacker had picked it for months in advance. Here's why. In Bangladesh, the weekend, Friday and Saturday. In New York, the weekend is Saturday and Sunday. In Philippines, which wouldn't matter in a moment, Monday was a national holiday for a Chinese New Year. If you stack those calendars, you get 4-day window where nobody at the Bangladesh bank, nobody at the feds, and nobody at the receiving banks would be paying close attention. Almost 100 hours of banking silence. At 8 p.m. Bangladesh time on Thursday, the attacker sent their Swift message, then another, 35 messages in total. They request transfers totaling $951 million, almost the entire account. The money is supposed to go to a handful of accounts in Sri Lanka and in the Philippines. real-looking destinations, plausible payments. The Federal Reserve gets the message. They look correct. The codes check out. The format is right. The Fed starts processing the transfers. At Bangladesh banks, the printer in the secure room is silent. Nobody has any idea what's happening. Now, here's the story gets ridiculous. One of the transfers, $20 million, is being routed through Deutsche Bank on its way to an organization in Sri Lanka called the Sri Lanka Foundation. Except the hackers didn't type foundation, they typed foundation. FANDATION, a spelling error. One letter wrong in a single field out of 35 messages. The State Bank compliance system flags it. The misspelling is unusual enough and the transfer is large enough. That's a human look at it. They send a query to Bangladesh Bank. Hey, can you confirm the transfer? The receipt naming looks wrong. The query lands in Bangladesh on Saturday, a weekend day. Nobody opens it for over a day, but by Sunday, when a staff finally walks into the office and try to print the daily Swift logs, the printer doesn't work. They reboot it, they check the cables. Eventually, the print manually and the receipt and that comes out are terrifying. Tens of millions dollars gone in transaction nobody at the bank had authorized. They scrambled to call the Federal Reserve. The Fed had already paused some transactions because of the Deutsche Bank query. The rest of the transfers are halted. Most of the money is recovered, but it's too late for everything. $81 million has already cleared. The $81 million landed 4 accounts at a single bank in Manila, RCBC, within hours. It's withdrawn and it disappears into the one place in the world that the police can't follow it, casinos. In 2016, the Philippines had a remarkable loophole and its anti-money laundering laws. The rules covers banks, they covered real estate, they covered insurance, but by deliberate political design, they did not cover casinos. So the $81 million get walked across the floor of 3 different casinos. It gets covered into chips. The chips get played in tiny amounts at private gambling games. Then they cash out, often by different people, the ones who brought them. By the time investigators arrive, and they arrive fast, the trail is already cold. The money has been turned into clean cash, handed it off through dozens of intermediaries and shipped out across the country. Of the $81 million stolen, investigators have recovered about $15 million. The rest just gone. At first, it looks like the work of a sophisticated criminal gang. The technical skill required was enormous. The year of patient infiltration, the printer exploit, the timing of the 4-day weekend. This was an amateur hour. But cover the next 2 years, security researchers started noticing something. The malware used in a Bangladesh bank heist had unusual fingerprints, specific code patterns, specific cryptographic choices, specific infrastructure, and those fingerprints kept showing up in other attacks. They showed up in 2014, hacking Sony Pictures, the one that leaks private emails after Sony made its movie mocking Kim Jong-un. It showed up in WannaCry, the 2017 ransomware that paralyzed the British NHS and locked down 200,000 computers in over 150 countries. They showed up in attacks on banks in Vietnam, in Ecuador, in Taiwan. In September 2018, the US Department of Justice unreleased indictment. The named defendant was Park Jin Hyok, a North Korean computer programmer working for a state-sponsored unit known as Security Researchers at Lazarus Group. This wasn't a heist by criminals, it was a heist by a government, a national state sanctioned and short of cash, threatening the global financial system as a piggy bank. Bangladesh banks still open illegitimate against RCBC, the Philippines bank that processed the laundering. They were trying to claw back what they can. They probably never will. The Lazarus Group has not spotted in 2022. They stole $625 million from Ronin Network, a video game blockchain. In February 2025, they stole $1.5 billion from the crypto exchange Bybit, the largest crypto heist in history. The same group, the same playbook, biggest number every year. But here's what's wild. The Bangladesh bank heist was the moment the world realized that the people moving money on Swift weren't always who they say they were. Banks rebuilt their security around it. Compliance system got smarter. The very fact that you can't pull the exact same heist again because of what happened in 2016 February. And it's almost didn't. If the hackers didn't spell foundation correctly, they would have walked away with another hundreds of millions before anyone noticed. The whole house of cards probably wouldn't have stood another week. Instead, one hacker somewhere in a hurry on a Thursday night typed FANDATION and accidentally saved the global banking system. Cybersecurity isn't about firewalls, it's about people. Bangladesh bank heist took $81 million because somebody opened the wrong email. It almost took $1 billion because of a year of patience. And it stopped at 81 million because somebody somewhere spelled a word wrong. If you found this story interesting, there are a dozen more like it. If you want to keep safe, head over to aics.solutions. Check if your email has been compromised, if there's any leaks anywhere within the dark web or the normal web. Subscribe and I'll see you next time.